today I will be ranking all the items based off of price, how fun they can be, but really how useful they are. Alright, to start us off, we have the toy green flashlight. So really, it only has 2-minute battery life, and it's not that bright, and really when you need it, it's in the early game, and you don't have that much money to begin with, which means I would really just spam the scanner and wait for the pro flashlight. That's personally what I would do. D tier. Now the pro flashlight, I think this thing right off the bat is S tier. It's got to be one of the best items on here. You can use it if you're soloing or if you have teammates. It has a 4-minute battery life, double the regular flashlight. It's a lot brighter, and it's also not too expensive. It's one of the cheaper items. All around, it's just great. The shovel is used to kill enemies and players. But this is really nice to have in a larger group, in my opinion, as one person can carry it and be the protector, quote unquote, of that group. Great item, really good for defense, not that expensive. A tier. The stun grenade, this thing can save your life against faster enemies and can be extremely useful when trying to run back to the ship and you're slow, or it's just a dog and it's really fast. But if you throw it behind you, it stuns them and you can get away. It's pretty cheap too. It's one of the cheapest items. I would say A tier. Okay, so the jetpack is really interesting. This is extremely fun. It's, I believe, the most expensive item in the game for utility, which, I mean, you get to fly, but this would definitely be useful to get from the compound to the ship, vice versa. It is pretty easy to hurt yourself though. There's not any other advantage other than just being able to fly. And it doesn't have the best battery life for how expensive it is. So, I mean, other than being fun, I would put it in C tier. I know it's really fun to use, but just not that useful in my opinion. Alright, so the lockpick, it's basically just the key, but you can use it as many times as you want. Now, this thing does have a 30-second countdown when you put it on a locked door. And I think that is quite a while, as you can just find keys and use them versus just hauling this around, having to pick it back up. It is infinite uses, but I would say B tier for this item. I know it is really useful, but the radar booster, so this thing is pretty cool. You can use this as like another camera. Basically, it will be another person for the camera system in the ship. You can also ping a sound from the ship to the radar booster, which is really cool. It can act sort of as like a decoy if you need to get out of there and there's things chasing you. And another great thing is if you place it at the entrance, you could ping it for players to find their way back if they were lost in the compound. A tier. All right, so the boom box, this is good for having fun and joking around, but it's kind of really expensive for what it is, and there are better options for drawing noise, like for enemies, with the radar booster and the horn, which we'll talk about later. So I would rate this a C tier. Now, okay, the key you don't need to buy, and you just find this on the ground. It's the exact same thing as the pick lock, but it's a one-time use. You can sell it for like $3, I think. I think it's better than the pick lock, in my opinion. You use it once, it unlocks that door, and then you have a free slot then. And it's great early game. You can find a lot of these because it seems like not as many locked doors in the early game are needed. So I would definitely put this A tier, or maybe even S tier, honestly. S tier, sure, yeah, it's literally free. The ladder, this has a lot of different uses. Of course, you can use it to climb up things, like to get up to a fire exit that was, you know, blocked or something. Use it as like a bridge. It is pretty versatile. It's really only used for those two things, which, I mean, is really good. And it's kind of expensive. So I would put this in B tier as kind of like an optional Alright, so the inhaler. This will boost your stamina and helps you carry items, especially two-handed items that are larger, when you weigh a ton, and it'll help you get to the ship faster. It has some really funny effects. The only thing is you only have 6 to 7 uses, I think. So I would say C. All right, so the walkie-talkie, straight up S tier. Like, this thing saves lives. It's just the most important item besides the flashlight, I would say. It's just a really great item. It's also one of the cheapest items in the game. Okay, so we're on the final 4. So the zap gun. This thing is it's really expensive. This thing is another defense item. It essentially is like the stun grenade, and it's really useful for certain enemies that really the stun will only be effective against them, but I would rather just run. You can always just run, and it takes up a whole slot. So I would say low A, because it is a defense item and it is really good, but I would say low A to high B. Like, these two are interchangeable, and these two could honestly replace this in A. So now for these are like a bonus thing. Now, these are not items you can carry. These are items on the ship. Really quick, so the horn is just the better version of all the sound equipment to lure enemies. This is very good for luring dogs away from the door and to the front of the ship. It's a very loud sound. It's like the loudest sound game. If I had to put this anywhere, it would be A tier. And then for the teleporter, I think it's an S tier. Like, the teleporter is just such a good item, especially when you have the combo of the walkie-talkie, the teleporter, and the flashlight, of course. But with the combo of these two items, it's just really good to have for, retrieving bodies is a really big thing. Retrieving people before they die. Now, the inverse teleporter, I'm going to put in A, just because I think when you have a 4 stack, this is very, very useful for, mid to late game. When you have a 4 stack and you have that one guy that just wants to kamikaze, no items, just go into the middle of nowhere and get loot and make their way to a fire exit or the main exit. Like, I think this thing is really great. Now, that will be all for my tier list. Let me know down in the comments if you agree with this tier list or if you disagree, which is totally fine. Leave a like if you liked this video, but yeah, hope you guys have a great day. God bless. See you later.